The baseball field has been witness to some truly bizarre happenings, leaving fans utterly dumbfounded. We'll take you on a journey through these peculiar happenings and explore whether it's the people involved or the situations that truly deserve the title of dumbest. Stay tuned until the end of the video to make your judgment. In the world of baseball, there are countless ways to make blunders, but did you know that some mishaps have been so colossal that they led to the evacuation of the Capitol building? Believe it or not, that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the dumb things witnessed on a baseball field. These slip-ups have cost teams victories, potentially even championships, sparked actual riots, led to game cancellations, and even resulted in players getting arrested. Yet, more often than not, these mistakes simply earn players cheers and chuckles from the crowd. For instance, remember that time when Milton Bradley caught a fly ball in the 8th inning, thought there were 2 outs instead of 1, and hurled the ball into the stands, allowing a run to score. It happens more frequently than you might think. Take Anthony, for example, who made an incredible running catch but kept running, allowing a runner to score from second base. He must have felt pretty foolish. Usually, these kinds of blunders make players look silly for a moment. They realize their mistake, and then they laugh it off, facing minimal consequences. However, the game isn't always so forgiving. Sometimes these blunders cost the entire team, just like when Benny Agbayani, in a winning game with a 2-0 lead, mistakenly thought there were 3 outs and handed the ball to a young fan. But when he realized there were only 2 outs, it was too late. The opposing team scored, turning the game in their favor with a 2-1 score. When players make these mind-boggling mistakes that lead to their team's defeat. There are other instances where it's not just the players but also the team's crew who make mistakes, and often such blunders can lead to them losing their jobs. That's precisely what happened to the Marlins during their first ever season when they made an incredibly foolish decision to hire employees from the local high school. What on earth were they thinking? Well, that remains a mystery. According to the Marlins, these employees were supposed to be in charge of handling the tarp. But, as one of the crew members explained, it was their very first time dealing with the tarp during a game. Strangely, they unrolled it onto the outfield and almost managed to drag it onto the field, but it got stuck. So, they had to start all over again. They attempted to drag it once more, and it got stuck again. They didn't give up, though, and tried a third time with even more speed, only to find themselves stuck once more. At this point, the Marlins manager stepped in to help, but yes, you guessed it, they got stuck again. It was a bizarre series of events. Things took a turn for the worse when the Marlins manager eventually gave up on trying to assist. The ground crew came up with a new strategy, moving the entire tarp to the left field, which finally proved successful. However, now only half of the infield was covered. After 6 attempts and over 20 minutes wasted, they finally managed to drag the tarp into the infield. Sadly, by that time, the rain had already stopped, and the field was soaked. As a result, after the game, the entire high school crew was let go. Why they were hired in the first place remains a perplexing decision, undoubtedly a rather dumb one. Now, let's dive into some more field mishaps. When the weather turned bad, the Pirates' tarp got stuck, and a team member was engulfed by it. Players rushed to his rescue, holding the tarp in the pouring rain. Thankfully, this man was fortunate enough to be saved, as sometimes a person can get trapped inside the tarp without anyone noticing, having to crawl their way out for dear life. In 2014, the Yankees crew blundered so badly that the field became so waterlogged that they had to cancel the game in the 5th inning. Surprisingly, since the Yankees were winning by a run at the time, the grounds crew's error secured them the win. How on earth did that happen? Well, here's an example. In 2018, the Phillies ground crew forgot to put the tarp out overnight, and when it rained, the field turned into a soggy mess. They even attempted to use a flamethrower, but it didn't work, so they had to cancel the game, despite the weather being fine. This leads to a question: why not invent a self-rolling tarp that eliminates the need for ground crew members? Well, it turns out they did have such technology back in the 80s, but it tragically ended a player's career. Vince Coleman, who was the Rookie of the Year and led the league in stolen bases, was a key player for the Cardinals during their World Series run. However, in Game 4 of the NLCS, he and his teammates were on the field before the game, and for some reason, the automatic tarp started rolling out onto the field. Coleman had his back turned, and the metal tube, weighing over half a ton, crushed him, causing a fracture and ending his season right before a crucial game in his career. There are even more unusual incidents, such as in Arizona when crew members accidentally activated the sprinklers and the control office played bizarre music. But the list of these bizarre occurrences goes on like a bat boy catching a ball and giving it to the stands when it wasn't fair. Moments later, another ball came, but this time he was too afraid of making a mistake, so he remained completely still. But the next is funnier. Once Giants decided to involve senior citizens in this role, which is a kind gesture but wasn't quite suitable for the game. Nonetheless, these bald dudes sometimes perform exceptionally well. Now, here's an idea that seems even more bewildering, and it ended up costing a team a game. In the 2010 World Cup, the Marlins decided to do a vuvuzela giveaway, the same noisy instruments that were popular during the South African tournament. Given to over 15,000 fans, the stadium was filled with these annoying noises, causing quite a disturbance. This noise even led to a miscommunication between the players, specifically involving Brian Barton, and as a result, the Rays managed to win the game. So, you can see the chaos caused by these little, noisy monsters. But that's not the craziest part of it all. At times, sponsors come up with bizarre promotions, like one that offered surgery as a prize, preventing people from having children. Fortunately, this promotion was canceled due to opposition from the Catholic administration. And if you think that's the end of it, in 2022, the national organization arranged a tribute to the military in the form of service members landing in the stadium. However, they failed to communicate this to the police, who couldn't identify the aircraft. Consequently, the police announced the evacuation of the Capitol building in response to the perceived threat. Well, the list still goes on. Thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel today. We hope you enjoyed the content as much as we enjoyed creating it for you. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, or informative, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on our latest uploads. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics you'd like to see us cover in future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below.